We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Infinite Gary. Gary says, assuming the speakers will be some high-end revels like the Salon 2 and the Voice 2 Center, which amp would be better, Emotiva or Outlaw? So he already has an Outlaw 5000 and Emotiva XPR5. The XPR is far more expensive and rated at for far higher wattage. But does this automatically mean the better choice? The Salon 2s are notoriously difficult speaker load, so Gary is interested in how we evaluate the most important aspects of an amp for driving such speakers. Other than noise floor, which is independent of anything else, what I use to identify the best amp for any particular speaker is how far away you're sitting from that speaker. That's the number one thing I want to know before I do anything else.
True.
Do not come to me and say which of these two amps is better for my application without telling me how far away you're sitting from your speakers. Then I want to know what your speakers are, and then I can tell you which amp is appropriate for you.
Sure.
Based on price.
In Gary's case, he doesn't have any setup in his house where he's sitting more than 12 feet away. I don't think he's even sitting 12 feet away from any of his speaker setups, but certainly not more than 12 feet, which is sort of the threshold usually. Around 12 feet, most any amplifier that's decently powered will be able to drive most speakers to full reference power. Beyond that, you start questioning it a little bit. So in his case, he's sitting, that 12 feet or closer for pretty much any setup in his house.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you've already got them, this is something you could test, so you don't have to ask us.
But he's looking at what is our methodology if this is us. What do we do in choosing an amplifier, which is, I think a very reasonable question.
Right. So I ask how far away you're sitting. Then I looked at what speakers and what kind of loads they present. And then I figure out how much power they're going to draw at any given moment. And then make sure the amp can provide that. And then choose the cheapest possible solution that doesn't have a noise floor that is going to be audible. That's going to be audible at seated position. So that's what I do.
So, I agree. That's the same methodology. So particularly when you're looking at the speakers, if you're just looking at the specs, look at their sensitivity rating. Most of them will be given in however many watts per meter. Right, or they'll give it per 1 watt or per 2.83 volts, right? So look at that sensitivity, that efficiency rating. And if it's an 8-ohm speaker, and it's rated at 1 watt, 1 meter, then you can basically do the thing where if you double the distance from 1 meter, so you go to 2 meters, then that will require, twice that amplifier power, right? So you're only going up to 2 watts at that point. And then you double it again when you double the distance. So, am I getting that right?
I don't know. I always get the math wrong.
Well, you got to go up 6 dB for the doubling of distance. So you double it once, double it twice, and then if you're at say 12 feet, which is like 4 meters, then you double it again and double it again. And that'll tell you that. And then if you want to work your way up to 105 dB, then for every 10 decibels that you want to go up, you multiply by 10. For every 3 decibels you go up, you multiply by 2. So you can figure out how many watts you need to hit a full 105 dB if you want to. That's how you can work out based on the specs there. In this case, it's interesting because the Outlaw 5000, that is one of the models that was not designed and built by ATI. That's a Chinese company. I'm not sure which one that's building that for Outlaw. And then the Emotiva XPR5 had crazy high wattage, like 400 watts per channel into 8 ohms. Right? Wow. Insane amount of wattage, but not exactly fantastic signal-to-noise ratio. I mean, certainly not bad. Certainly not bad, but not fantastic. Which means that they're actually in the same sort of ballpark when it comes to the noise floor, in that neither of them actually presents a dead silent noise floor, but neither of them is bad either. But if you had really sensitive speakers and or were sitting really close to them, I'm not sure that either of these would be my very, very tip-top choice. But with the Salon 2s, which aren't like super sensitive, and you're not sitting super close to them, I don't think either of them would be a problem either.
There you go. Cheaper option is your best option.
Yeah, both of them can handle 4-ohm loads. You're sitting close enough that you don't really need more than about 100 watts, which the Outlaw can deliver just fine. So effectively, the answer in this specific case is, I don't really think you'd notice much of a difference. I really don't. I think in this setup, however, if you were sitting significantly farther away, then the extra wattage of that XPR5 could absolutely come into play. But both of these are capable amps. They can both drive the 4-ohm load, no problem, and you're sitting close enough. And neither of them has the lowest noise floor ever, but certainly nothing bad.
Right. So Gary has been talking to some of his dealers, and they're speculating that laser-based projectors and genuine 4K resolution projectors will start to come down in price, maybe below $10,000 by 2019. Wait, what? We already have genuine 4K resolution projectors that are below 10,000, right?
No, we don't.
No, the ones we had?
We got the Epson laser-driven, but that's Wobble K with the 1080p panel. So that's not genuine 4K with laser.
Right, but these are two separate things. Laser-based projectors and genuine 4K resolution projectors. Those are two separate things. We do have a 4K resolution projectors, two of them right now. We talked about them last week that are 4K, right? Or no, the HDR.
The DLPs... the Optima DLPs. I mean, they're... I guess you can call it genuine 4K. It's half 4K, but being wobbled. That's what the Optima DLPs are doing, but they're not laser-driven.
Right. I don't know if you use the same things.
Sony's got genuine 4K panels at $10,000, but not laser-driven. Epson has laser-driven at under $10,000 with their LS 10500, but it's not genuine 4K.
4K.
JVC certainly has projectors under $10,000, but they're not genuine 4K, and they're not laser-driven. They do have a laser-driven genuine 4K, but it's $35,000. That was that Blue Escient from JVC.
A little pricey. So he says it seems like...
I could see Epson maybe having a genuine 4K panel with a laser-driven solution, because they've already got the laser light engine in that LS 10500, or I could see Sony transitioning over to a laser light engine, or JVC just bringing the price down on their Blue Escient. I can see all of those things happening. That seems reasonable.
And in this case, dealers are probably a really good source of information. They're much more current on what the prices of things are, and they're talking to manufacturers a lot more often than you are, for sure. So they're gonna have an idea of when these things are going to start coming out. So I would take their word for it as well. He asks, it seems like 4K HDR projectors are still at an early stage, so how long before they're fully matured? I got a real problem with this idea of fully matured, as in a fully matured technology when it comes to displays. When we talk about something simple like a speaker, and honestly, a speaker is a simple device. I know it's complicated, but it's essentially a very simple device. A DAC is essentially a very simple device. An amplifier is essentially a very simple device. A receiver, when are receivers going to be fully matured? Never, right? They always
formats stop changing.
That's right. They are always adapting. When are displays fully matured? Well, they mature until the day they are discontinued, like plasmas. They were going along just fine, and then somebody said, we're not going to make them anymore because they're too expensive, and then they stopped. But up until that day, they were always evolving. They were constantly looking for better resolutions, or better black levels, and better this and better that. Better off-angle video. LED, perfect example. Still around today, still maturing. Was it going to be fully matured? Never. So when are 4K HDR projectors, how long before they're fully matured? Exactly never. They'll keep going until they're 8K projectors.
But I think he's sort of asking, when can you buy one that you can feel reasonably confident isn't going to be obsolete within 1, 2, 3 years?
I'm going to say
for example, right, that 5040, the Epson 5040, still a great projector. I will still recommend it. But if 4K resolution at 60 hertz is a big deal to you, it wasn't able to do that. We don't know if it's going to for sure get support for hybrid log gamma, right? So it's those types of things where it's like, do we know it's going to support the HDR formats? Do we know that it's going to display the signal, or is there a chance it's going to be obsolete next year? When are we going to get to the point where we can feel comfortable about that? That's a pretty fair question.
I'm going to say a year to 18 months. that's my sort of, we're going to get into this where we're no longer seeing with the specs have kind of shaken themselves out, and the you know what everybody's going to be supporting has been shaking itself out, and we're just going to be going for, you know, oh, ours is quieter, oh, ours is brighter, oh, ours is got more nits, or this got, you know,
right.
We're going to start getting back into those discussions and not into does it support this format or does it support that format?
Yeah,
I think a year to 18 months. That's my guess.
To be fair to the consumers who are asking, we are in the first generation of the single chip 4K DLP solution. These are the first ones. So, you know, whether there's certainly maturing of that technology yet to happen, because there's the first iteration of it. I'm certain they'll start improving contrast and black levels and stuff on that as well. And it is this half 4K resolution that's being wobbled, but it gives full 4K detail. So there's things to be worked out on the DLP side. We now have genuine full 4K resolution liquid crystal on silicon panels. You know, JVC and Sony both have that. I'm certain Epson solution is you know, easily in the works. So yeah, the pieces are all kind of there, and I tend to agree. I think in a year we'll see some of them where we go, yeah, that's a projector that's definitely going to last. I think Epson at CEDIA is going to announce something that does that. I think JVC at CEDIA is going to have something, Sony as well. I really think at the end of this year we'll see that. However, the price of them may be still quite high. So I'd say by CEDIA 2018, we'll see something at a semi-reasonable price that we're quite confident will last for many years to come. There, that's my prediction.
Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.